bits and the content. Oh no, Ruckus. Oh no. I have the power, he says. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. But yeah, today we are going to be doing some positivity talks, and we're going to be doing it over failure, right? Failure. Basically talking about why failure is good, right? We're going to be doing that, and then we're going to be playing little games afterwards. But, you know what? Let's go ahead and rock into it. What do you say? Let's get into it real good. We got a little background right here about how, see all these fails? See all these fail rocks? Holding up the banner of success? That's what we're doing it. That's what we're doing it. That's the basis of today, and especially because it's a low-res photo to both trigger J and more than likely KB. More than likely KB as well. But I'm okay with it. But thank you all so much for coming out for the positivity talks. I love doing these. These are like one of my pride and joys of being able to be on Twitch and be able to talk to you all about it. It's something that really for the purpose of the talks, whether that's you're watching it on YouTube, whether you're watching it on Twitch, wherever you may be here today. We do these on Tuesdays, and really it's just a way to, if you see this, you think that this can help someone out. If one of these talks out of all the ones that I've done, we've done over a dozen of them, can help out somebody or can make someone's life a positive impact, you can have a positive impact on somebody's life. That's really the purpose of these talks. I don't really have anything other than that, but
your mic is really loud.
Okay, well then we're going to go ahead and back it up just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and get that going just a tad bit. We're going to bump it down just a little bit. How about that? There we go. We got it. Then turn your volume down, Jay. Deal with it, Jay. Your face is really Mike. Boom. What's up, Katie? How are you? There we go.
Turn in down.
No, deal with it, Jay.
Lower.
I'm making notes here. Huge success. I should be due for a big amount of success if failing is the building blocks. This is true. This is true. Yes.
Lower more.
No, Jay. It's not happening. So what we'll do is I'm gonna turn off the alerts. Fine. you want to do that? Boom.
Keep
no
on
more.
going.
No more. Oh, yep. There it is. No. No, and no.
Did he mute you?
Boom. Audio done, bits done. Ha! How you like that one, Jay? I'm just joking. I put those back on there. But yes, everybody. So today, whenever we're going through all these things, failure is good. Failure is good. Failure is a great thing. Okay? Like I was just talking about, I know that you probably said like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Like if failure is the building blocks of success, then I have a lot of success coming. And that is true. Okay? Each one of us, I mean, whenever you think about it, each one of us from the time that we are a baby has gotten to where we are because of failure, right? I mean, everything. Failure is the best teacher. I mean, think about this. In order for us to even be able to walk, to talk, any one of those major things that we do, we had to do that by failure. Through failure, we learned how to be able to be successful at it, right? It's ingrained in us. There's tons of science, books written about this, motivational posters that have, like failure and have, the cute little line afterwards. And honestly, so much more talking about why failure is great and like why it's necessary and what happens afterwards, which is kind of needed. But honestly, what sucks is our society, however, despite all of these great things, somehow keeps failure hidden, right? It makes it taboo to do. It shuns others for having it. And I don't understand why that is. It's not only like a non-option, right? Like people say like failure isn't even an option. It's not only a non-option, but it's seen as a deficiency or somehow lacking something. Like think about this. The song that we played later, or like the second song that we played in the intro was a loser, right? Because I'm a loser, baby. Whenever someone thinks of failure, they think of somehow losing, right? Like somehow it didn't work out, so now you are branded as a loser. But that's not it at all. Like whenever you think about it, if someone is deemed a failure, right? Even after just one time, this person is sometimes demoted. Sometimes they're cast out of friend circles, which is ridiculous. They're not given as much opportunities. They're even like ridiculed into a shame spiral. And that isn't right. Like, I mean, I failed at one department, so I moved to another. Nice. Solid, Jay. Shout out Wedding But Like in chat. Jump up and shout now. So whenever you think about that, right? Like here pretty, like for instance, here pretty soon, the NFL is going to be done, right? Like the season's got to be over, because the Super Bowl's here, got to be coming here in just a little over a week and a half. So after that's done, the very first day after that's done, coaches are going to be fired. Coaches are going to be fired. Like some of them even after just one season. It's like, nope, see ya, you're out. And like, whenever you think about that, how is that? How are you at all teaching this coach anything, right? Like they had one season in the NFL and then they're gone, right? No more job for you. Hope you saved a bunch of money, man. See you later. Bye-bye. Like if this player missed a kick or maybe made the wrong throw or is regarded as like somehow they're regarded as like not clutch or like, you know, maybe the reason why they lost, when in fact it's so much more than that. Like whenever you think about sports aside, whenever you think of media, the media is great at portraying failures, right? While having us think, you know, basically, I better not fail because I'll be put up like this person, right? Like I'll be shown as being I'll be seen as this failure. Like, oh my goodness, I don't want to be seen as that person. That person did this horrible thing. I can't believe that happened. And like, I don't really understand why that they would do that. But like, whenever you think about it, the overwhelming majority of even stories in the media is how someone failed. But whenever you look again, and thanks to some of these stories, right? Thanks to some of them, Johnny, thanks for the host, buddy. Also, tell me in chat if you're here, how you're doing, buddy, after your surgery. I'd love to hear about it. But like through these stories, I mean, people are learning on how to become better. Like if they're thinking about that, they need to be doing that. Hopefully, instead of just sitting there judging someone saying, hey, that's wrong. This person is wrong, right? Because a lot of times we think instead of the action that's wrong, it's the person that's wrong. It's the failure is an action. It's not a person. Okay. Remember that failure is an action. It's not a person, right? Like, whenever you think about it, the majority of times that we avoid things is because of the fear of failure. And for what? Like, because we're scared to fail in front of people, because we're scared that people might see what we're doing, or maybe we're scared that we're too old, we're too young, we're too smart, we're too dumb, we're just too poor, we're too rich, whatever it may be. Like, you could insert whatever reason, and that's ridiculous. You shouldn't have any fear of that. That's just a fear of the unknown, and the fear of failing shouldn't even be anything. Anino, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. The Titans coach got let go after the loss to the Patriots. Right, Anino? See, sometimes that can happen. Like, also, thanks for the follow, homie. I appreciate it. He needs to hear this. And so, like, whenever you think about this, failure, okay, like, that's just ridiculous. Like, because I'm here to tell you, if people give you crap for failing, and I'm even including yourself in this, if you're giving yourself crap for failing, like, honestly, swift smack right upside the head. That's what those people need. And they need a reality check, because here's the real secret about failing. People fail more than anything else that they do. It is the most common thing that you do every single day. And honestly, if we chose to relate to one another on our failures instead of trying to be able to build up each other from our successes, we would go further, honestly, as a human being, right? Because we are looking at that and we are learning from it and we are building off of that. It's the most common thing we do. How is it that we're trying to avoid this? I have no idea. Like, so whenever I was sitting here thinking about this talk and all about these things, this talk honestly came from a couple weeks ago. So I had a couple streams that honestly, after I reflected on them, I realized I failed at them. Okay. I realized that I failed at a couple streams. I didn't represent myself, my gameplay, Extra Life, and most importantly, all of you that are in here, because I am representing the community that is here, and I take that very, very seriously. And like through that though, I went back because I know this sounds super nerdy, but I study my streams on Twitch. I study them because I want to get better at being able to not only be a Twitch caster, but also be someone who's going to affect the most change, the most positive change on Twitch. That's what I want to do. That's my goal. My goal has always been to affect people's lives positively. And I need to do that, and I need to learn from that. So whenever I looked at that failure, I learned some things that I did and what things that I didn't need to do and I needed to change. The week after, I changed everything up, and look what happened. The week after, we ended up actually raising almost $100 for Extra Life. We avoided a lot of those things, and I know that a lot of that is because of how awesome you all are. I mean, that's a huge portion of it, but even just that tiny little change is something that whenever I just that tiny little change shows that whenever you learn from failure can come a success, right? Because of that, some like a kid is able to have their month's worth of prescription filled, like done, over with. We did that. Like it's amazing to do that, because like whenever I learn from my failure and bring the life, passion, and positivity to others that I know is my calling, that's me learning from it. Like that's how we do it. If we're failing, they're hypocrites. We fail every day. It makes us stronger. Exactly, Katie. Exactly. He's Captain Gibby because he was so scared of letting his team down and he exacerbated an injury. So now your beautiful face is on my TV so we can hear you. Oh, really, Shadow? Well, hello, little D1. The best I can do is what I have to offer. Do the best you can. That is never failure, no matter what the world seems to say. Right there. Words of wisdom from my mom. Well, technically from Peanuts, but still. So one of the things whenever I was looking at this and that I really enjoyed, but I'm going to add to, is someone sent me a little thing about, I don't know if you guys have seen this, about Will Smith talking about failure here recently. And I like what he had to say, but there's some things that I would personally change in there, but he did have a very solid talk. So some of this stuff that I'm about ready to tell you here is borrowed from him and also some books that I've read from it, because actually what he said is based off of a book called Fail Forward. So like what he said was fail early, fail often, and fail forward. And I'm going to add in there fail early, fail often, fail hard, and fail forward. Okay. It's a little bit of a change to from that book that he got it from. Right. So he went on to talk about working out and how basically whenever you work out, right, our body is just like a muscle. Whenever you work out your muscles to a point of failure. And through that failure, right, because you're literally ripping the muscles to a point where they can't do things anymore, you enable that growth to happen and that elasticity so they can expand and grow. This is a story of life. When you fail, whenever you fail, that exact same thing happens with your EQ, your IQ, your PQ, your SQ, all those things that I talked about earlier, that I've talked in previous positivity talks. It helps you grow just overall as a person. So whenever you think about that, this is the story of life. When you fail early, okay, so we're going to go ahead and start through this trend. Failing early, right? You will learn earlier than anyone else. You know the saying, the early bird catches the worm? Well, guess what? The early failure gets success sooner. The person who builds these building blocks right here behind me, the person who starts laying down those earlier gets up to success quicker. That's the truth. Try it out. The earlier and quicker you try things, the sooner you can have success you seek. And when you fail early on, don't be afraid to fail a lot. Whenever you think about this, we've all heard of the story of of Edison whenever he does, it's some people say 10,000, some people say 1,000. I didn't fail 1,000 times. I just learned 1,000 different ways of how not to make a light bulb, right? Everybody's heard about it, but shut the front door. KB, did you just gift my mom a sub? Oh, that's so cute. By the way, Mom, now you can look. There's a little circle with the smiley face. Okay, a person in here named Nobodies, who's a really awesome human being that I love and adore. He gifted you a sub, which means that he basically donated for you to Extra Life, and now you can use an emote that's in there. That's basically the Rufio hype emote. If you look on in the chat box on the top right-hand corner, there should be a little emote thing that you can click on, and it should look like a little guy celebrating that you can now use in chat. That's the only way that you can do it. So, thank you, KB. That's very kind of you, my man. That's super kind of you. So, but I mean, think about that light bulb. Think about that invention of that. Think how literally, think how revolutionary that was. Thank goodness that he went ahead and failed that many times for that invention. We're literally communicating to each other right now because of a light bulb. That's what's happening. If we didn't have light bulbs right now, we wouldn't be communicating. It's true. You need that light bulb to be able to make TVs, to be able to make things like Twitch happen. So we're literally doing this because of all that failure. This is possible because Edison failed often. He failed early. And so I added in the failing early, fail often. I added in here fail hard part because honestly, these happen a lot of times. They're the ones that have the greatest discoveries. Nobel. So Alfred Nobel, right? Homeboy who invented dynamite and who's the Nobel Peace Prize is named after. Dude blew up his lab and almost killed his family. That's failing hard. That right there is failing hard. However, thanks to his... Dude, AZ. Thank you for gifting that sub to Anino. Oh my goodness. Guys, thank you. That is so kind of you. Oh man, thank you so much for that. Oh, thank you, brother. I so appreciate it. Man. And also, Johnny, I'm glad that you're back home today, man. I'm glad that you're feeling okay. I'm sorry that you're sore, brother, but just know that we've been my family and I have been praying for you to get better and a swift recovery, my man. I'm glad to hear it though. Thank you so much for that, AZ and KB. You guys are awesome. So yeah, now you can use the refuel hype emote. But yeah, like that's a big fail, people. Like blowing up, homeboy almost blowing up his family. That's kind of a bigger one. Like that's pretty stinking crazy, right? Big failures often come when we're not able to risk a lot for something that we feel is worth the cost. Because I mean, let's face it, whenever you do go and fail, you always need to fail smart, right? Like you don't want to sit there and just be like, hey, you know what? I think that I'm going to fail in this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Like, make sure that whatever you're willing, whatever the reward is, the cost is worth it, right? Like, you shouldn't just go and be like, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to fail by spending all my money and then going into bankruptcy. Like, no, be smart about it. Think about what you're spending money on. Think about those things. Or like, oh, hey, man, I want to, or maybe it's like, oh, hey, I want to go ahead and like run a triathlon, but you've never worked out. Maybe think about working out first and putting in that time before trying to go and do a triathlon, getting a cramp in the water and then possibly drowning. Like this is pretty big. You need to be able to do this. Excuse me. But the big thing is, like, whenever you know that it's worth it, whenever you know it's worth the risk, do it and go full blown at it. Go full blown into it, right? After you fail big though, this is 20% of the time, but it's the most important step, and that's to fail forward. Fail forward. Exactly what Johnny Fishsticks put in there. Fail forward, people. I see so many people doing this and having a battering ram approach whenever it's like, oh, one of these times it'll work. Like, they just keep on failing in the exact same ways. No. I will roll up a newspaper and bop you on the nose. No. What you need to do is take a serious look at why you failed, right? Take responsibility from it and learn from it. You know what we call it when someone just keeps doing the same thing over and over again and like expects different results? It's insanity, people. That is literally the definition of insanity. Don't be insane and let failure go unused. Don't let these building blocks all of a sudden just like crumble away, because if you don't learn from them and learn how to be able to stack them and utilize them, you're not going to be able to do it. And that's the whole thing about failing early right here with all these building blocks. Not only got to build up higher, but whenever you fail big on it, those are bigger stones that you're going to learn from, right? Those are huge things, right? Failure is the reason we have made it this far. And if we stop this, we'll always get what we've always got. If you always do what we've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. That just won't cut it, people. By going through this, you will build up resilience, right? That word is amazing, people. Resilience. Think about this. Resilience is the reason why we've progressed, honestly, as a species. Why you and I are sitting here today was because our ancestors had great resilience in the face of failure and kept failing forward. The people in this world that have contributed the most worthwhile things to each one of us has built up resilience and has a healthy relationship with failure, right? They knew that the cost was worth it. They knew that it was in there, and they had resilience that even in the face of ridicule and things that people didn't believe in them, they still went out there and they did it, right? So how do we fail forward, right? How do we fail forward? I never like to leave everybody with just like this, hey, here's this, and then go and do it, right? Like I want to be able to give you guys actionable steps of how to be able to fail forward, right? How do we fail in the right way? Failing right is a lifetime of works, honestly, people. Like it's going to take you a lifetime to be able to learn these things. It's not one like moment and things just like clicks. You know, like it's the reps every single day. You don't all of a sudden go into the gym, right? And you know, you can back me up on this for you doing this previously. You don't just go into the gym once and then all of a sudden you're like Mr. Olympia. That doesn't work, right? It's the constant reps that we do every single day and the failures that we learn from every single day. It's the constant barrage of negative things that come your way, but you choose to be positive about it. It's the constant evolution of yourself that is one of the most critical, hard-earned, and frustrating things of your life. However, it's also part of how when you're old and you get to look back on the people that you helped, the accomplishments that you made, the contributions to society, the relationships that you've nurtured, that you can take stock in all of your life's work and smile, because all of those things you treasure most from your actions are possible by failure. They're all possible because of those things. So here's some tools for you to take with you along the road of life, okay? The very first thing, common gym term, is to go until failure when we lift. Yeah, fail to get stronger. Yeah, that's exactly it, Ashley. 100%, right? So here's some things to take you along with on the road of life as you're going through and learning from failure, right? First thing, take ownership. It's something we've done for longer than anything else, right? It's the thing that we do whenever we're kids, whenever we're still grown-ups. It's so much easier to blame someone or something else. Don't do that. Matter of fact, take ownership even whenever it's not yours. I challenge you to do that. Take on everything so you can learn quicker, easier, and more efficiently. The quicker that you can take ownership, the better. Guess what? You start taking ownership for even things that aren't yours, you're taking someone else's failure stones and building your own block. That's what you're doing. You're taking that ownership and you're learning from it, right? So 1, take ownership. Second one, experiment.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind.
Dude, I'm going to need to read that, and I'm going to read that right after this talk, Shadow. Thank you so much for that, brother. Oh, we got an extra life donation. That means we get the duck. I'm getting it from it. Oh, man. Yes, you rock, Shadow. Can I get some hype, please, for my boy, Shadowrunner, in there? Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. The next thing that's on there is experiment, okay? Try new things. After all, you've already failed once, right? So you know that this is not the way to do it, right? After you fail, just keep experimenting. Try new things. Be curious. Try again. Because without a sense of trying to figure out why you failed, then you'll always be stuck at the first failure encounter. And that won't get you anywhere but building walls around yourself with fear as the stones and failure as the mortar. Remember that. You'll always be stuck at the first failure encounter if you don't experiment and try and go further. That you won't get, that won't get you anywhere except for end up building walls around yourself with fear as the stones and failure as the mortar. And nobody wants that. Persistence. Okay, take ownership, experiment, persistence, right? Guys, thank you so much for the hype. I appreciate that. Man, that gets me amped. Oh, I love it. And I love the emotes that are in there. Persistence. Don't give up. Why would failure be a reason to stop? Tell me that. Why is failure ever a reason to stop? It's not like a wall like most people think. It's just simply part of the road that you travel, right? Failure is a part of life. Don't let that stop you, right? So persistence, grace and forgiveness, okay? This is a big one. Grace and forgiveness. First off, to not only others that are going through failure, but to yourself, all right? We all fail, but whenever you sit there and beat yourself up over it or beat someone else over it, remember, failure is an instance. It's not a person. Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat others up. Learn from the instance that happened. Okay? Don't have this relationship with someone else, and especially yourself, because yourself is the one that can eat away at you. Those are the scary things that happen, like depression, anxiety, some of these mental disorders that honestly for millennials and a lot of people right now, believe it or not, over a third of Americans right now have this. And you know what? We don't need any more. We don't need any more of that, right? So grace and forgiveness to both yourself and others. Study up and dedicate time to learning, okay? Without knowledge, you're setting yourself up to fail more than necessary. I'm sorry, but if you're just sitting there like while that may teach you lessons, there's still a need to be efficient with your time and energy. Don't go into things blindly, so do your research. Besides, you shouldn't go into something in knowing that it won't work out, right? You shouldn't be like, hey, you know what, I'm going to be a surgeon if just on the first day that you go and do it. Do some studying up and dedicate some time to learning. And I know that's kind of a drastic one because that's a lot of years, but in anything that you do, just think about it, right? Study up and dedicate time to learning. Be a student of failure, right? Build a healthy relationship with failure. This is the last one. Build a healthy relationship with failure. Okay, let me go through these again just one more time. Take ownership, experiment, persistence, grace and forgiveness, study up and dedicate time to learning, and all of those combined will be able to build a healthy relationship with failure. The more you do it, the more you're comfortable with it, and the more you will demystify failure. Okay? So get out there. Keep being the amazing people that you are. And don't feel failure. Use it as the fuel for future success, because that's all it is. Fear is an event, not a person. Don't let it define you, because you all are amazing people. And I know that for a fact, because I've gotten to know all of you, and you guys are amazing people. Don't let it be that. Okay? And so right now, what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at a little bit of an update from my cousin Teague. Because think about this, okay? Failure, because of failure, right? Things that were treatments for cancer, things to be able to help out kids in need, happened, okay? Thanks to failure, these things are all happening right now. And because of that, I want to give you guys a little insight on my cousin Teague, okay? Let me get this up here real quick. So here you go. Here's a little update on my cousin Teague that actually just was just on the news just yesterday. Here you go. Whoop, wrong one. Whoop.
When we first introduced you to Teague Harris back in September of 2016, she was undergoing chemotherapy and radiation. But now she's almost 6 months cancer-free and celebrating a big milestone. A child's first haircut is always picture-worthy, but for 4-year-old Teague Harris, it's a picture of progress.
She was diagnosed when she was 2 years old, and so she never got her first haircut.
Teague courageously battled cancer for over a year.
With her type of cancer, we were worried that, her odds were not as good.
But for now, she has a clean bill of health and a full head of hair.
Do you want a faux hawk?
Having her hair grow back and seeing her healthy was really important, and getting her first haircut and kind of getting her on the road to being well made, was a big deal for us.
With Teague now in remission, her parents are forwarding their fight to fund pediatric cancer research.
Children's cancer for rhabdomyosarcoma, which is what Teague had, the newest drug we had was about 45 years old.
So they're working with local charities that fund research.
We're really excited to give back. Now that she's healthy, we have more energy and more time to spend on helping other people.
Emily Welsh, KMBC 9 News.
We are so happy for Teague. Teague's family is working with a local nonprofit, Braden's Hope, to raise money for pediatric cancer research. You can donate to help more kids like Teague. Emily has a link on her KMBC Facebook page. It's also on our website. Just click 9 Can Help.
So there you go, people. That's right. Oh, get that out of here. So that's right. So whenever you do fail, realize this. Whenever you guys are failing, you guys are doing things that could change the world, that could change a little girl's life. Okay? So do not be afraid of failure. Go out there. Do something awesome. Okay? Do something awesome for my cousin Teague. Do it. Because I'm getting emotional. I'm not going to let it get me. Okay. Hold on. Blah. What? That right there? That's your positivity talk. Dadgummit. That's right, people. So fail. And failing's okay. It's good. It's not a bad thing. Don't be scared of it. Go after it. Make it happen. Make it happen.